feel the power of the dark.
Hey guys, I hope you're hungry. Welcome back to the Full Incense channel. This is War Stories and my name is Jericho. So for today's War Story, we're going to bring back a little recurring miniseries called Legends, named after the Star Wars Legends chronology that was unfortunately made uncanon by Force Awakens when Disney took everything over. So this is basically telling the story of some of these neato Star Wars. I don't want to... Oh, it may be Luke! Dang it! Okay, well... Look at his hand! Ugh! What happened to it? It knew I wanted to be Chewie, so it had to have the bad... I don't know how I can make myself be not Luke. Respawn. Oh no, Luke, what happened? I have to be Chewbacca because this is the Legend of Chewbacca. So, basically the way these work is I just sort of rattle off some of my knowledge from just being a huge fan of the old Star Wars Expanded Universe, reading books, watching shows, all those sorts of things. Not really watching shows, I guess, because the shows are mostly canon. But you know what I mean. So we're going to talk about the life and times of Chewbacca as he has just been added to... I will walk right past it. As he...
The uplink station has been activated.
As he... okay, let's find another one. As he has just been added to the game with the new Death Star DLC. So I thought the time was right to revisit this Legends...
Y-wing tracking signal initialized.
Oh, it's up there. The little Legends mini-series. And we'll do one for Bosk, too. Bosk was also recently added. And I do want to go back and get some of the other characters, but their stories are kind of better known since they were so important, you know. Okay, I'm going to just go find another one, because that's obviously not going to work for me. So I guess I'll go ahead and get started. I did choose Endor in reference to Chewbacca's homeworld of Kashyyyk, seen in the Star Wars movies in Episode 3, when it was revealed that as a younger Wookiee, he helped Yoda fight the droids. Not my favorite bit of prequel and original trilogy coming together, but hey, you know, what are you gonna do? So, as I fruitlessly searched for this hero pickup, I probably should have just started over, but then Luke had the weird hand thing, and I liked it. I thought it was funny, so we're just gonna go with it. But I don't know. Okay, is this the same one that I was looking at earlier that didn't feel like appearing? Perhaps. So, Chewbacca, one thing you might know right off the bat, super old. He was born 200 years before the Battle of Yavin. So as a young Wookiee, like many others, he would, you know, he gained his strength and his warrior prowess by climbing the giant Rusher trees. It's never been spoken, so there's not really an official pronunciation. W-R-O-S-H-Y-R, Rusher trees. When I say giant, I mean like even compared to these guys, just like unspeakably massive. Oh, I might as well use this thing. Ow! So, oh, another rocket. That's great. I'm gonna go back to where I found the first pickup. It was in the thing. It was inside the little base. Maybe it'll be there now. So, as a young Wookiee, he met his future wife, Malato Buck. He was raised, you know, he had a loving family. His father, Itichituk, also known as Itchy. Yeah, I know. I don't make the names. And his mother was not a big character. It's not like she died young. He was raised by both parents, but I honestly do not remember what her name was. So I might do like a little... I always say I'll put it in the comments or like an annotation or something, but probably ain't gonna happen. If this is the same one again, I'm gonna be right across. Dang it. Okay, I'm gonna respawn and go elsewhere. So just to teleport across the map, and maybe that'll jiggle the hero pickup. Because I gotta play as Chewie if we're doing the Chewie thing. So another interesting fact about Chewie and Wookiees in general you might not know: how do you reckon the Empire built those big old Death Stars? Because it wasn't the Emperor doing it with his bare hands. No, it's Wookiee slave labor. That's been a long established part of the old Expanded Universe chronology that, understandably, they haven't been super eager to bring up, as it's a pretty dark subject matter, of course. You know, an entire race being enslaved to build their war machines. But yeah, that's how it happens. And Chewbacca, as a young warrior Wookiee, was enslaved by the Empire. And that enslavement led to his partnership, friendship, and lifelong brotherhood with Han Solo. So I mentioned some of this in the Han Solo legend. Or did I? Did I even do a Han Solo legend yet? I don't reckon I did. So Han Solo was in the Imperial Academy to train to be a pilot. That was where he had his start, was flying TIE fighters. Ain't that nutty? So he saw a detail of Wookiee slaves getting brutalized and couldn't look away. So Han Solo got himself kicked out, blacklisted, and cashiered from the Imperial Navy, could never fly legally again, and that led to his career as a smuggler, but it also led to him having a life debt from Chewbacca. A Wookiee life debt, much like the one they decided that Gungans had too, to my Fury, means he's never going to leave his side. The rest of his life belongs to Han. So, I mean, in some ways, it is kind of one form of slavery to another, honestly, since he's immediately dedicating his life to Han. But I mean, he was still free, and it didn't take long until it was hardly the life debt that kept the pair together. As Chewie saved Han many times over, and it was just a real friendship and partnership that made them stay together as one of the eminent smuggling teams of the day. Okay, if this still doesn't work, I'm just going to switch to a skirmish, and we're just going to talk over loading screens because I need to play as Chewbacca in my freaking Chewbacca thing. So, Han and Chewie had many adventures. For some of them, okay, it just is going to keep disappearing, so we're just going to go ahead and quit, and we're just going to keep on chatting. Actually, I will be right back when I'm loaded up playing as Chewbacca in a mode where I can play as Chewbacca. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that, but now we get to play as Chewie. I really wanted to do skirmish because it's much more interesting to watch than the hero battles. But, look at him. Look at him. Okay, but that's fine. So now we're Chewie, and that's lovely. So where we left off, they were a smuggling team. They worked for Jabba the Hutt. They got in all sorts of adventures and troubles. A lot of this I'll cover in an eventual Han Solo snack, or legend, I should say, Legend of Han Solo. So I don't want to go into too much detail right now. But they were also involved with the Rebel Alliance. Han's girlfriend at the time, Rhea Theron, was a Rebel operative, and that was their first kind of mixings with the Rebel Alliance. It did lead to Han's falling out with Lando, as I mentioned in the Lando snack, and it was also led to the later distrust that Chewie did not share because he, unlike Han, I mean Han, of course, you know, just as a good person, had a natural dislike for the Empire, but he didn't have it. It wasn't nearly as personal as it was for Chewbacca because his people were enslaved. They were forced to make these machines. They were whipped, tortured, all the rest of it. So it was Chewie who actually convinced Han to turn back and save Luke at the end of the Battle of Yavin. Helping Luke make his famous shot that saved the day and destroy the Death Star. But he didn't even get a medal, so that's nice. Yeah, well, go back and watch episode 4. Han and Luke get medals, and even the droids get to be all shiny, but Chewie's just kind of standing there. And speaking of just standing there, where's everybody? What are y'all shooting at? Oh, good job. So Chewie's adventures continue through the movies, much to his chagrin. Oh, I'm sorry, before I move too further on, that's also why Chewie reacts so negatively to the fake prisoner get-up aboard the Death Star. Yeah, he doesn't know Luke from anybody, so, it's not hard to blame him for his distrust of, with a history of being a slave and a prisoner. Naturally, it's not going to be his cup of tea. So Chewie, unfortunately, forced to be a prisoner again to help Leia, disguised as Boushh, make it into Jabba's palace in her bounty hunter disguise. At last, we have the mighty Chewbacca, Jabba says. And he's not wrong. Jabba's enmity with Han was almost equal with his enmity with Chewbacca, as Chewbacca, Han's partner, was just as involved with losing the cargo. But again, get more into that. Make sure you watch the Han legend. It should be coming, I don't know, next few weeks or so. I don't want to do them too often. I like to kind of change it up. Especially with there being so many more wrestling shows now. I like to have a good mix of watching shoot my friends when... Come on now. So, moving right along, when Han and Leia married and had children, not one grumpy child named Ben, as The Force Awakens has shown us, but 3, twins, Jason and Jaina, and a son, Anakin. Or a further son, Anakin, I should say. Jason is also a son. he extended the life debt to protect them as well, and just became a very important figure in their lives. Taught them to understand Wookiee. Another interesting thing: it's not that Chewie is stupid. The way Wookiee vocal cords are constructed, he physically cannot speak basic. Just like how humans can't speak Chewbacca. They're just not built for it. Can't speak Chewbacca. Oh my God. Can't speak Shariwuk, which means tongue of the tree people. Yeah. Put that in your morning breakfast. Chewbacca, interestingly, later returned and married Mala Tobuk, his childhood love, and his son, Lumpawaru, known as Lumpy as a child, very unfortunately, later became just Waru as his warrior name when he proved himself. But the character of Chewie's connected family that ended up having the most import in the Galactic Civil War and the events that followed was his nephew Lobaka, who actually trained with Jason, Jaina, and Anakin as a Jedi. He had an amber, like an orangish lightsaber, and a little miniature, like a tiny miniature translating droid, like with a C-3PO-esque kind of personality. He just clipped on his little belt thing, like Chewie has the bandolier. He had one similar, so that his friends could understand him. And Chewie, I'm sort of talking more about, his adventures during the movies because it's very interesting and very sad. Chewie actually does not survive long after Return of the Jedi. Once it had become apparent to the good people at Lucasfilms, money, that there was definitely a big market for expanding universe. They decided that it was important to have it all organized and controlled. So they set up just an official team to determine what would or wouldn't be canon, and make the big decisions going forward. Like, for example, George Lucas himself said never kill Luke. That's just how he wanted it done. So whenever there were big decisions about the fates of important characters, they would meet this little team, including Pablo Hidalgo, who is still basically doing the same sort of work for Lucasfilm. Just he mostly determines what things are and aren't canon anymore with all the changes, and he's heavily involved with the Rebels TV show, as I understand it. But anyway, they wanted to kill off a major character because they had a brand new idea for a cool new villain. Oh, spanked him. A brand new menace to threaten the galaxy after the Emperor, the remnants of the Empire had been pretty well defeated. So they wanted to really bring them across as a big threat. Now, these invaders were called the Yuuzhan Vong, and they were from a complete other galaxy. So they had no concept of, what these aliens were or what they could do. And interestingly, at this point, the Rebels had basically taken over the universe. They were, well, I should say the galaxy. They were the power. And the Yuuzhan Vong, the alien race, were just these confusing, crazy, creepy, like insects-like alien invaders. But they really wanted to get across how threatening these were going to be, because it was going to be the start of a huge, huge, huge new series of novels called The New Jedi Order, which is probably the most popular, or at least the most known, or at least the most significant group of novels in the old expanded universe. Very popular, very well read, very well received, and they wanted to start it off in the big way. So they said, let's kill Han. No, we're not going to kill Han. Han himself, in fact, wanted Harrison Ford wanted to be killed in episode 5 or 6. He thought that Han shouldn't have survived the series. It's always kind of been on everybody's mind to knock off Han, and of course it did eventually happen in Force Awakens. Didn't want to do Han, didn't want to do Leia. Luke was forbidden. So the exact quote by, I think her name is, here, I have one of her books on my shelf right next to me, so I'm just going to kind of stand in circles here for a while I try to find it. Catherine something? It's not Kathleen Kennedy, the later bigwig. Karen Travis, I believe, is the one that made the decision. She said, let's kill the family dog. Let's kill Chewbacca. And indeed, that's what happens. In the first ever book of the New Jedi Order, oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I cannot remember the name of the book right now. Balance Point? No, Balance Point is later. Balance Point is where another important character dies. Destiny something? I really want to look it up really quick. So I'm actually gonna, nah, whatever. It's the first book of the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, the first book of the New Jedi Order. A planet, the Yuuzhan Vong have this terrifying gravity weapon that they're gonna use to crash a moon into the planet of Cernpadal. And Chewbacca and the Solo children are rescuing all the people trying to escape with their lives. And in the pivotal last moments, Chewbacca insists that Anakin get on board the Falcon so that they can all escape, and does not take the time for himself. It takes a literal moon crashing into a planet to kill the Wookiee, but it doesn't happen. Chewbacca dies. I think it's a mere 20 years or so after Return of the Jedi, at the age of about 230. So yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't have a whole lot of post Return of the Jedi adventures, but still an excellent character, well beloved, an important part, and I am eager to see what will happen to him in the Force Awakens, because, or the post Force Awakens chronology, I should say, because it's interesting, especially without Han. What does this mean for his character? What does it mean for what he gets up to? Since he was killed off, so early, he sort of has more. There's more that they can do with him. Of course, they can do whatever they want. They have the control over it. Of course, all that. But it's interesting that they don't ever Sorry, I'm kind of rambling in this episode. I didn't have my script like I do usually for these. Luke had an established story of everything that happened to him after Return of the Jedi. So did Leia, so did Han. But Chewie gets killed off. So it's interesting that, it's just... Vector Prime! That's the name of the dang Vector Prime. The first book of the New Jedi Order series, Vector Prime, is where Chewbacca is killed off. But since he is killed off, now we're wide open. Luke was always going to have kids. Han and Leia were always going to have kids. There's a lot of things that they're going to kind of follow in the footsteps of, I believe. But Chewie is wide open. So thank you guys for watching, learning a little bit about everybody's favorite Wookiee. I hope you enjoyed this little taste of Star Wars Legends. If you're interested, a lot of the context, a lot of the things I talked about in this episode were taken from the Han Solo trilogy by A.C. Crispin. The Paradise Snare, The Hutt Gambit, and Rebel Dawn. Those are 3 excellent books. 3 of the first. Rebel Dawn was basically the first expanded universe book I had. So I'd highly recommend if you're interested. That would be a great source to get more information about these characters. And then, of course, Vector Prime is the one that unfortunately has Chewie's death. So thank you guys so much again for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any war stories on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll be back with Legends of Bosk and some of the other characters later on, especially since it's October. I do want to try to do some horror themed ones. In fact, I think Thursday's episode might be about my very favorite horror movie. I don't know. I don't know if I can make a whole episode out of it, but we'll see what happens. But make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. I don't know about you, but I'm full.